Hello. Uh, in this video, I'm going to be doing a devotion titled "The Voice of Truth," and it is based on my favourite song by Casting Crowns, called, of course, "The Voice of Truth." So that's hence the name. But I was just listening to it today, and listening to the lyrics, and it felt so relevant to me right now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a little bit of the lyrics and talk through um, the voice of truth and what it means to me. So this song, it talks about this journey. It references a couple of situations in the Bible. It references Peter walking on water towards Jesus in the boat. So that's the first couple of verses. So it says, "Oh, what I would do to have the kind of faith that it takes to climb out of this boat I'm in onto the crashing waves, to step out of my comfort zone into the realm of the unknown where Jesus is and is holding out his hand." But these couple of bits in the verses and the chorus are what spoke to me particularly. So the waves are calling out my name and they laugh at me, reminding me of all the times I've tried before and failed. The waves keep on telling me time and time again, "Boy, you'll never win. You will never win." So I think that is so true of us in our everyday lives. There are just so many voices in our heads telling us that we can't do things, telling us that we shouldn't do things, that we don't have the courage to take steps and be brave. So for Peter, for example, I'm sure there would have been so many voices in his head telling him that there's no way I can walk on water. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. There's no way. So all of these voices flowing around his head and, telling him that he'll never win. He'll never win. Do you ever have a voice in your head telling you that you can't do something, saying, "Ha, you suck. There is no way that you can do this. No way in the world. You're not up for this. This is not your strength. Why are you even bothering?" So I guess there's that little voice inside of us that's trying to convince us to go away from Jesus rather than draw ourselves towards him. And then it gets to the chorus, and this bit is telling us, no, we need to ignore these voices in our heads because they are not the truth. Instead, the voice of truth tells me a different story. The voice of truth says, "Do not be afraid." And the voice of truth says, "This is for my glory." Out of all the voices calling out to me, I will choose to listen and believe the voice of truth. Jesus is the voice of truth. All of these other voices in our heads telling us that we're not good enough, that we'll never win, that we'll never be able to achieve what we want to achieve, that we'll never get anywhere, they're wrong. We need to listen instead to the voice of truth, the one who is drawing us towards him, the one who wants us to be guided by Jesus. And if we listen to the voice of truth rather than these other voices, then that's where true strength lies, and we are going to grow as people. So in the second verses, it references David and Goliath. Now, obviously, he had an immense challenge in front of him to take out Goliath, this giant from another land, this huge, gigantic warrior. And all that David had at that time was a sling and a stone. And it seemed impossible. There would have been so many voices, not just in his head, but also voices around him telling him that he wasn't good enough, that he couldn't do it, telling him that he would never win, And when we allow those voices to just eat at us over and over and over again, we start to believe them as true. But again, the voice of truth is the voice we need to be listening to. That tells us to not be afraid. That tells us that we need to trust God and trust his plans for us, because it will all be for his glory, and he is calling out to us, just waiting for us to listen and respond. So my question to you is, are you going to listen to those voices in your head telling that you're not good enough? Or are you going to listen to the voice of truth who tells you that with his strength you can do anything for his glory?